In this video I will try to beat the Broodmother in 100 days as a complete 0 hours played noob. I have a good friend who lives and breathes Ark. I've heard rumors that he has started to lose grip on reality and he confuses in-game with IRL. In fact, I've heard that when he went to the zoo he tried to passive tame the monkeys. When he sees someone shorter than 5 foot, all he can think of is PvP. When he hears some noises downstairs in the middle of the night, he damn near reaches for the long and naked rifle, but then again, he lives in the US, so it ain't the worst option. I've gone off track. My point is, he introduced me to Ark and I first wanted to play with him, but he said he neither has the crayons nor the patience to show me how to play, so I will be completely on my own. Oh no, for the love of God, please tell me there isn't no T-Rex behind me. And so it begins. After bravely escaping certain death, I met a Terra, I don't fucking know, I didn't bother asking his name, okay? Needless to say, I wanted to get out of there, but on my way to literally anywhere else, I ran into a crocodile death rolling a chicken. Shiver me timbers. I'm fucked! I must remind you that at this point I was about 45 seconds into Ark, so I was actually soiling my pants here. Luckily my survival instincts kicked in as it started to get dark and I just zoinked through the river and stood on a rock. All night. Yeah, but you know, sometimes existing is exhausting. When the gods brought the Moro, I wandered around looking for revenge and I found something with the survival instincts of a pebble, the chicken. I took my opportunity and beat the living shit out of the poor fella. Rolled him and smoked him. Whitecar Studios, you outback grass-eating animal, I'ma fuck you up! Give me that chicken back! At this point I was about 30 minutes deep into the game and so far all I did was run, stand on a rock, open a can of whoop ass on a mid-sized chicken and screamed at a rock, so I decided to actually play the game and I was delighted to see that the game works just like Minecraft and you can fistfight trees to get wood and stuff. When I opened my inventory I was intimidated by the upgrade panel and all them numbers, so I asked Juztify what I should do and he told me he usually goes for 300 HP, 300 weight and the rest move speed, and looking at all them things out there I decided to go for the HP first. The second I upgraded my health I got zapped into the engram tree, which I fully assumed was a crafting menu, so I got myself a hatchet and a spear and I was baffled when I was scanned by the game, and jokes aside, it took me a good minute to find the crafting tab. Maybe it was just my settings or I don't know, but looking at the user interface I genuinely couldn't see the big text saying crafting, but I got there. Now I knew what I needed, so I got to work, and it might be sad to admit, but I figured out how to get stone thanks to a mod pack in Minecraft, which is rather pathetic I know, but it was enough for me. I got to work and crafted some primitive tools and started to read through the engram tree and learn what I deemed useful, like the slingshot. My poor character is really hungry, but you got me fucked up if you think I'm going near anything that moves at night. Oh, wait. I think I have an idea. It actually worked. Let this be a lesson, Wildcard Studios. I'm a veteran gamer. You can't fuck me over. And oh, how wrong I was. Armed with 59 pieces of chicken, I cooked myself some food and I just hope to God fireplaces work the same way as in Rust and spent the night gathering materials and reading engrams. I wanted to make a bow for myself that needed fiber, but I couldn't for the life of me figure out what a man had to do to get some fiber around here. I was at the brink of sucking some dino cock, but I didn't want to risk getting some Godzilla STD, so I just googled it. I felt embarrassed typing the letters. Even Google giggled a little before displaying the results, and I'm not sure how I was supposed to figure this out, but at the same time my IQ is lower than the fiber I just got, so it might be a me problem. I quickly gathered up enough fiber for a bow and got some arrows as well. I also got some extra stuff like a sleeping bag, which I just assume works like in Rust and acts like a respawn point when a big flying punk lizard scared the crap out of me. Don't make me do this, buddy. You don't want me as your enemy, boy? Yeah, you better run. Thankfully the dino isn't aggro, otherwise it would have beaten the living crap out of me, but shortly after scaring it off, I started to establish a little base. After eating enough berries to feed 17 African families, my night terror revisited me. Alright, I've had enough. You asked for it. What the game? I didn't know I was this good. Yeah, you better run. You know, I might not be pregnant, but I never fail to deliver. For everybody cringing at that joke, I know some of y'all are afraid to be corny, but I live life on a cob, baby. I noticed some light in the middle of Bumfuck Egypt deep inside the jungle at night, so I did what any sensible man would do in this situation and I just started to run towards it, butt-ass naked. I didn't need to run too far to find some trouble though, cause I heard some rustling in the bushes already. Who is there? Ah! Demon eyes! Help me! Yeah, that's right, you better run! Not afraid of no puny little dino. Ah! Help me, please God, help me! Why have you pull your bow back and shoot? What just, did I just die? Against overwhelming odds, even as brave as I was, I still lost to what has got to be one of the biggest and most fearsome dinosaurs in the game, so I wasn't too upset about it. I think the AI needs some improvements though. I sat here for a good 5 minutes waiting for my inevitable death, and once it finally came, I just said fuck it, we roll, and respawned right next to the demon that just killed me. But by some miracle, I got lucky and it just left. Gathered up some stuff to make a spear and marched to battle. This walking oil deposit is gonna get the boot up the ass. Come on now, where you are? I'm about to mess you up. The bastard took a shit on my garden. There it is. I will kill you. I will murder you. You shall die. You... What the fuck? Why? Where is my spear? Did it just break? There is another one. Ah! Wow, they really fucked every hole I had, huh? As you can see, my plan didn't go quite as planned, so I spawned nearby and ran back and gave them round 3. And I died yet again. I am really done with this shit. Bam! I just hit an Ariana Grande note, bitch! Luckily, they seem to circle the last place they killed me at, so I managed to sneak around them and get a bow before trying to fight them again. I almost gave another shot, but decided not to humiliate myself a 4th time. Or did I? Nah, I'm just playing, of course. I don't have a humiliation fetish, plus I won't fight these vicious bastards before I get something to eat and better gear, so I got some materials and started to upgrade my base. Started with the foundations, because apparently you need those to place anything. And I started to burn some metal to see what's gonna happen, and while I was waiting for my metal to cook, I read some of the engrams and stumbled upon the tranquilizer arrow. I must confess that I know that you need to knock out dinos to tame them, and looking at the description, this is exactly what I need to make a couple of them oil deposits, my bitch. I want to expand my base a little, and these stones were in the way, and as Bob Ross would say, I had myself a happy accident and figured out that these stones on the ground give far more metal than its boulder counterparts. While I was hard at work building my base, it started to rain and it got a little chilly, which I fully assumed was going to murder me, so I quickly leared the thatch wall and the roof to get out of the rain and to snuggle up to the reforger for some heat, but my guess is that these were made in China and it seemed to rain even harder under it than out in the open, so I just had to clench my teeth and get through the night. I read somewhere that predators don't hunt where it rains, but these scaly bastards must have missed the memo, because as soon as I walked out to gather some more resources, I heard some shebangery going on in the dark. And fun fact about me, I might be 6'3" and have 120 pounds of lean muscle mass. I act like a 12-year-old girl when it comes to the dark. Screaming, hand flailing, all the good stuff. So I almost immediately shed myself and ran home, but thanks to my beloved weight system, I ran slower than my 70-year-old diabetic grandmother with lung disease. Happens. Just to feel safe, I finished my base, so I had somewhere to hide in case there's something out there doesn't read the Bible. I didn't have enough wood for a door, and on my way back from the lumberjack simulator, I had myself a close encounter of the 3rd degree, and in the spirit of patriarchy, I acted as a true red-blooded American, and I immediately held a weapon to its head as I screamed at it and told it, "This is my property." In hopes of defending myself, I showed him my marksmanship, which for one isn't marksman shit, and it turns out he's pretty chill, so we are right now. I upgraded the base even more and made a door and slapped down a smithy. I started to look through all the stuff I can craft with it and saw that there are guns in the game, which is poggers, but they were hella expensive, so I went for the less expensive and less American option, the crossbow. I still had to grind a little. Alright, fuckers and fuckets, show hands. Who wants it? Didn't think so. What the fuck you're crawling out there? Who do you think you are, motherfucker? I'm going to catch you. Do I go and violate the demons that took my life? No, I don't think I do. Oh, fuck it, fam. I'm finna cover this W. I liberated them from the burden of living with 2 free shots. At this point, I was ready to get myself a dinosaur, but I needed a mortal to make narcotics though, so I went to grind a little. You might ask why I included that. I don't know, bitch. Shit made me giggle. After that humongous poop dispenser, I did notice that at this point I was about 1 hour into the game, yet I was at day 7. I kinda didn't realize that I could just change settings mid-playthrough, so I restarted the whole shebang. But other than the fact that my base was on the other side of this lake, nothing changed. Picking up from where I left off in my playthrough, I crafted some narcotics and got myself some metal tools too. Then I spent about 5 minutes typing tranquilizer arrow in my inventory bar instead of the crafting tab, and look, I even had the audacity to make sure I had the engram, and I went back to type it in my inventory again. With time I figured out how big of an idiot I was and just carried on with my business like nothing happened. You cannot tell me that I'm not on the spectrum, brother. While I was grinding for metal, I ran into this triceratops that was trapped in between 3 rocks, and this was a perfect opportunity to tame my first dinosaur. While I was waiting for a dino to tame, I climbed on a rock and harassed another trike, but fret not, he had it coming, because he was just standing there. I wanted to make a saddle for it, but I couldn't for the life of me figure out why I wasn't finding the recipe, so I had to Google it, and I'm not sure why the game calls Triceratops saddles, trike saddles. It just makes the game more confusing in my opinion. With all the metal I got, I made myself some flak armor, and when I returned to check on my dino, it was tamed. After I brought it home, I upgraded my base with a couple storage containers before I went to tame another dino. I wanted something with big teeth and a rather short wingspan, like a raptor or something along those lines, but I ran into this absolute beauty, so I had to tame it. I hit the bitch in the shot, but it fell into the water. I tried to save it and I was ready to give it mouth to mouth if it came down to it, but when I asked Juztify if there was anything I could do, he said the brother ain't no fish, so it will drown. I was so traumatized that I almost let the ocean swallow my soul like it swallowed my soulmates, but I snapped out of it, for I do not buckle or yield when faced with the cruelty of this world. While I was reading through engrams plotting my revenge, I stumbled upon the fabricator, which sounded exactly what I needed to take my playthrough to the next phase, but I needed stuff I couldn't recognize like crystal, oil, spark powder, and cementing paste, so basically everything. Cementing paste needed keratin, so I went to kill some turtles, and I ran into a pterodon, so I tranked it, and I was waiting for it to tame. I ran into a dilo, so I tranked that too and started to tame both. My birdie was losing unconsciousness, so I shot it one more time. While I waited, I jumped onto my trike and figured out that its attack is really good to gather berries, but don't worry, I'm borderline special and I keep gathering berries by hand for a good while after this. Yo, don't you wanna like land? This looks hella uncomfortable. I needed even more keratin for a pterodon saddle, so I farmed some more turtles with my little dilo, cause we cool like that, and I took her for a spin. Looking at all the lights, something took over my body, perhaps the Christmas spirit, and I wanted to check them out. Once again at night, and the lights of course were still in bumfuck Egypt, but that didn't stop me. I ran into this funny mechanic that the flying dinos have called stamina, so I had to pull off an emergency landing, but it was on a suboptimal ground, so my pterodon got stuck up in the nothingness. I tried to shoot at it and even whistled, but at this point I didn't know there was a whistle wheel, so I just accepted fate and ran home. After pulling a Spider-Man before I filled my water skin, I decided to explore the island a little. I wanted to keep near the beaches, cause every Jurassic Park fan knows that the deeper you go, the bigger things get. I was peacefully standing around a rock admiring nature when a group of birds viciously attacked me. I wanted to stomp the life out of every single assailant, but my aim happened to be marksmanship this time and I missed every single shot. I kept exploring a little more and I saw this big building that I wanted to check out, but when I dipped my toes into the water, a big shark smiled back to me, so I went around and I ran into this fella. Thin neck, elongated face, a small wingspan, just the thing I was looking for. I quickly climbed on a rock with the belief that if the AI is bad enough to make a dino run around me because of its turn radius, it sure won't be good enough to climb up here. Right? Well, I was wrong, but luckily flak armor is OP and it didn't do any damage, and I managed to tame it before I died. I didn't have any meat on me, so I killed a fish, and lucky me because I didn't know bitches be pescarian on this island, so I wouldn't have tamed it if I stuffed it with regular meat. I gave it a little kiss for good measures, and I left it here to tame while I went to check out the big something. On my way there, I ran into this shiny looking fella. I was confused as heck, but I couldn't take a second look because I was chased away, and while I was getting chased, I crossed a river and got absolutely obliterated by a couple montas. On my way back, I noticed that my body tamed, so I brought him with me, and I not only got my stuff back, but I finally got to see what these lights were about. I walked up to it and I pressed E to open this shebang. I saw some stuff inside, grabbed something, and boom! It just disappeared. Gypsy magic if you ask me. But fret not, because I spotted another one, and this was rainbow colored, so it was either Elton John dropping into the zone, or I was in for some high quality loot, so I waited for it to land, and I would have preferred a colonoscopy over this loot, but I finally got it. These are loot boxes. I pushed my luck and checked out another one, and it was so bad that I committed Sudoku right there and then. I decided to leave my stuff behind and check out other features of the game. I checked through the engram tree for anything cool and I found crop boxes which looked promising. I tried to grow something and even dug through the trenches for some dino shit to use as fertilizer, but it said it needed water. So I made a little reservoir, but it needed taps and pipes and they weren't behaving as I wanted them to, so I just gave up and never looked back. I wanted to make some guns, so I went to get some metal, but God had other plans for me and I saw a crocodile roaming around while gathering metal. I of course decided to tame it, but as it turns out God has no plan for me at all, and I didn't have enough arrows to tame it, but I didn't give up. I was ready to wrangle with this beast if I had to, but it was going down. I took out my medieval weaponry and started to poke at it. I have no idea what the plan was at this point. I went from taming the damn thing to making boots out of it, but I came to my senses and stopped murdering it. I rushed back to my base picking berries along the way and made some more rank arrows. This time it was going down for sure. And as it turns out, God has a plan for me, and that plan is to make me break my monitor because my bow broke. But once again, I bow to no gods. I already got it to flee, so all I had to do was get some materials, craft another bow, and finish what I started half an hour ago. I got the bow and I started to tame it again, and after a couple arrows it was knocked out cold. Victory was ours for once. After this much hustle, you can bet your ass I defended a tooth and nail and I had to repel countless waves of piranhas, but I managed to protect it. Before I left my base, I put some metal in the reforger, which was the only thing that kept me from crafting a gun, so I gave it a good night kiss and went to craft myself a gun. I almost fainted when I found out that I was gonna piss away 2 metal for each bullet I shoot from this long necked beauty, but instead of bitching I went for a metal run instead. While I was crafting bullets, I checked on my Sarko every once in a while and gave it a couple kisses on the forehead for good measure. I finally crafted myself a couple bullets, and when I went back to check my Sarko, it was tamed already, so I took it for a spin. I loved it. Boy was fast in water. While I explored the sea life a little, I was limit testing with my Sarko and I stumbled upon this thing that turned out to be oil. One item crossed out of my list of what I will need for the fabricator. Harvesting it of course ended up with me dying, but that's no surprise.
Oil is not for the weak. It is the earth's milk, and only the strong may suckle at mother's teat.
After I respawned, I saw a couple drops near the beach, so I decided to head there with my Sarko. On my way there, I spotted a couple jellyfish, which were new to me, so I wanted to see what kind of loot they give, but little did I know that the bastards will shock the life out of both me and my beloved Sarko. A grim day for sure. But I didn't buckle. I quickly swam back to my Sarko, who I believed to be alive, but in fact it was just the lifeless husk of it, and before I could confirm it, the jellyfishes got to me, but I still didn't give up, and went back there a third time, but this time with a plan. I crafted myself a new set of gear and I was going to kill them with my crossbow from a safe distance. Remember when I rage quit life because of bad loot and I didn't bother to get it back? Well, I was with my body, so I left him behind too. This is important because he came to my rescue. Well, kind of. I saw some numbers floating about, so I went to investigate and I saw it. It's no hero story, I know, but now that I have a dino to work with, I can make a new plan. My new plan was to swim in halfway with my body and then rush to get my stuff, then get out with the help of my body. But of course jellyfishes swim faster than Michael Phelps and I died once again. I acted quick and tried to get back before my body died, and to my delight I seemingly managed to do it before they literally murdered it in front of my eyes. As sad as this was, it gave me time to loot my corpse, so all in all, it wasn't too bad. I quickly wanted to get home with my gear to repair it, but on my way to my base a raptor ambushed me and killed me. At this point I was done. All I saw was red. I wanted revenge so badly that I brought my Triceratops to the party. All I wanted to do was get back to my corpse, loot my stuff and then dip. My Triceratops were just to protect me. But I was stupid enough to cross through water with it and the jellyfishes feasted on its soul. And I rage quit the game. For the next few days, I yo-yoed between schizophrenia and alcoholism. I would have rather joined a League of Legends Psych Ward LAN party than to play the game again, but I somehow got the motivation. And then I didn't set the source of the game correctly in the recording program, so I didn't even record anything. And after that, when I noticed it, I forgot to check its resolution, so I was recording only 70% of the screen for 7 hours. I think the recording is usable though, and a couple hours I didn't record, I just grinded for a new gear and tamed a Sarko, so nothing major happened. And you know, since I suffer this much, it would truly mean a lot to me if you could subscribe and leave a comment for the algorithm, gang. Thanks y'all, enjoy the rest of the video. While I was taking a break, I did find out that crystals are found on top of mountains by a random TikTok I saw while taking a shit. My new objective was to find a mountain, and instead of doing the old look around, I decided to swim near the beach until I found one. When I tried to climb it on my way to the peak, I found this funky looking pebble. Oh, what the heck is this? Oh, it gives a lot of metal, but that's good to know. I also found something that I thought was oil because I was told that oil spawns on top of mountains, but it turned out to be obsidian, which is needed as well, so surprise, but a welcome one. While I was climbing, I had the idea to use parachutes to get back to my circle, so I crafted a couple. The wording of how to use it was kinda confusing for my small brain, so I gave it a little test before I jumped off of a cliff, and thank God, cause I wouldn't have made it. On my way to the top, I ran into two vankeys, and I really wanted to tame them, cause Juztify told me that they are really good for metal while he was showing me a sneak peek of his videos, and I am done horrendous for some metal. Their level was really low though, but I tamed the higher one anyway. While I waited for them to tame, I climbed to the top to see what kind of mystery it holds, and it delivered on what was promised and then some. Oh shit! A pack of raptors is defending the crystals. Let's just hope I can sneak in here. Thankfully, I wasn't instantly murdered by these raptors, so I got as many crystals as I could carry. Thinking about the potential this place holds, meaning metal, obsidian, crystal, some oil apparently that's on top of the mountains that I couldn't find, I just decided to move my base here, so I had myself a premature exodus and used the parachute to glide back to my circle. In the air, I saw a T-Rex running around. I tried to tag it mid-air so I could tame it on the beach, but it didn't follow me. On the beach I met a rather special shark, and near the special edge shark I met this bottlenose looking fella, and I thought I would try to tame it, but one thing led to another and I circulated. On my way back to my base to pack my stuff I met this mysterious creature that was like controlling the mantas. I talked to Juztify about sea creatures a couple days ago when I told him about the jellyfish incident, and he told me there is this almighty creature that is immune to shock and that is his go-to. I had a strong suspicion that this son of a gun is what he meant, so I postponed moving my base and crafted some trank arrows to tame it. I must say here that I was noobish enough to not know that level influences how many arrows a dino needs to get tamed, and looking back this had to be a level 120. I just kept shooting it for so long and I had to give up because of all the other stuff that pulled up to the party. I wish I checked its level. I would have pushed further for sure. Anyways, after my failure to tame the damn thing, I went back to my base and crafted a couple stuff that I carried to the beach near the mountain and started to build a little base, but not before I got viciously attacked by a seemingly peaceful chupacabra looking dog. At one point I thought we were having a moment, and the next, the son of a gun was throwing boulders at me.
No change up, no curveball, nothing but fucking gas.
Anyways, I started to grind some materials for foundations, and when I looked up I could see the tail of something I could only assume to be a T-Rex. A white one at that. White's my favorite. Strictly in the T-Rex category though. I ran after it and sure as shit, it was a T-Rex. I had a bunch of trank arrows, so I went into the shebang quite confident. My plan was to aggro it, and since you can use weapons on a circle, I shot its ass full of tranks from the water. So they started to run, but I was starting to run dry on my arrows. I got to my last one. It hit its mark, but it didn't buckle. At this point, I was ready to see God before I let this beauty go, so I ran up to it with my fists in the air. Yup, I was ready to bare knuckle fight this motherfucker to make it bow. But luckily, the trank took effect before I could beat the shit out of it, so I spare you the undoubtedly pathetic performance I was about to put on. I defended this thing better than anything in my life. Literally anything that got close to it, Hakuna his last matata. While I waited, I started to build a base, but then a Terry showed up, which I didn't want to fight. At first I just went cockle-styled and watched the action from a safe distance, but it got a little too real for my liking, so I pulled the Terry and hoped to God my circle will be able to take care of it. It seemed to be a close fight, but my circle literally devoured it in front of me while I was knocked out. What a savage. Tricky question. What's worse than one Terry? Yep, that's right. Two Terrys. It just showed up.
One right after the motherfucking other.
I put down a smithy to fix my crossbow and I pulled it. Things were looking good until it took my life. It was a level 96 Terra. I quickly spawned nearby, but things weren't looking good. It was a tough bastard and I didn't want to do— Oh, I just died. Huh. I guess my random circle is stronger than a level 100 Terry. Nice. I had a bunch of prime meat, and just to experience, I put it in my T-Rex in the hopes of taming it faster. After this couple action-packed minutes, things went smooth. I kept building my place, ranted a little about the weight system. Oh boy, do I love the weight system. You cut down 2 trees and you run slower than a diabetic, my 500-pound life contestant. And slapped down a couple essential stuff and I noticed the Rex tamed. I don't wanna hurt his feelings, but it looked like a mathematic BoJack Horseman. I immediately wanted to craft a saddle for it, but I needed some extra stuff. For some reason I remembered my Yankee in the middle of grinding for a saddle, so I rushed to the mountain, and to my surprise, it was tamed already. And I got so excited that I got knocked the fuck out. A really weird thing happened to me. You see, I took my Rex with me for good measure and I wanted to take the Anki back with me to the base, but in the recording, I don't know how, but I ended up losing both my Rex and the Anki. And even though I did get back to my base, it was without my Anki. It was a glitch in the matrix if you ask me. I remember taking the Anki back and even getting some metal along the way, but in the recordings, I don't know. All I know is I went up there with 2 dinos and returned empty-handed. Now I did know that my Rex was up there, but I just lost it, so after realizing that I returned empty-handed, I went back and finally stuck between a couple rocks. I took it back home and at this point I found enough materials to make a saddle, so I took my miss for a test drive and let me tell you, she was a 10 out of 10. Would recommend. I was happy with my Rex, but I still wanted an Anki, so I made some tranks and went back to tame one. I found a way higher level than before anyway, so in the end I came out with a dub, and it was such a big dub that I had to lay down for a bit. And then for a second time. While I was waiting for my Anki, I stopped it with metal, and this is when I realized that there are certain animals that are really good for specific dogs because of the weight system. Damn. What the dog doing? Boy, you good? When I uploaded all the stuff for my dinos, I realized that I could craft a fabricator, so I did. I went through the recipes I could craft with this bad boy and I saw that there is a whole new tier of guns. Most advanced stuff need polymers, which is rather expensive, so I couldn't craft guns yet. I wanted to make a canteen, but I needed obsidian for that too, so I ran up there, got as much obsidian as I could carry, and then parachuted back and crafted as much polymer as I could, but the darn thing didn't wanna craft it. That was when I noticed that I will need fuel to turn this thing on before it let me craft anything. The engram said it runs on gas, so I looked everywhere, but I couldn't find a single recipe for gas, so I just googled it, and once again, I'm not sure how a noob is supposed to find out that cooking hide with oil not only makes gas, but a red canteen with a black schnozzle for it too. I went to get some oil, which unsurprisingly ended up with my death, and when I respawned I noticed 2 Rexes. I wanted to tame both, but one of them ended up dying to a raptor in the water. Anyways, I got this one down no hassle. While it was taming, I went back in the ocean to the oil deposit, and I decided to tame a megalodon on a whim. It was really quick to tame. A couple bites was enough for it to call me daddy. I went back to my base to craft a saddle, and when I got back to my megalodon, all I found was a lifeless body and my fucking nightmare. A jellyfish. Jokes aside for a bit here, what the fuck are jellyfishes by the way? They swim faster than a lot of things and they are damn near impossible to escape after they attack you once and they actively hunt you down and your dinos. I think they are really stupid. Look, all I'm saying is that I for one wouldn't miss the slimy bastards. Back to reality. As a form of revenge, I murdered every one of them jellyfishes I could get my hands on. I made my new Rex a saddle too, and I forgot to mention that the Rex I just tamed was a male and my first Rex was a female, so it was about to get hot in here. Because I wanna make them do the hanky-panky. So I just enable mating and they are just gonna do their business or what? Oh. Are they teasing each other? Is this a little sexy dance? Hello? But you guys ain't fucking yet. I tried to figure out how to make them breed, but I'm always trying to think one step ahead and I miss the obvious things. What if I just stop both and have this do the assume position? Oh shit! I think they're fucking. I know this is a really sassy thing to say, but I just couldn't help myself looking at them. You know, thinking about it, I might be a prehistorical cock. Oh shit, did you just drop an egg? I'm coming, baby girl! Oh, you filthy bastard. While they were doing their business, I crafted some polymer and got myself a canteen, and by the time I went back, there was an egg on the ground, and they seemed to have abandoned their babies. It was all on me to raise the poor devil. The egg said it was too cold, so I provided it with the only source of heat I know of. A campfire. I tried giving it 2, but the bastard was gluttonous and it needed 4 campfires to hatch it. After a couple minutes it hatched, so I called it Baby Man, and while I was raising it, the second egg dropped. I almost went fetus deletus and ate my second adopted child, but thank god the game kinda got scared for a second and asked if I was sure that I wanted to become the fetus muncher. Thank god I don't have a kid IRL though. And you shall never know if I never had one or just accidentally ate it. After hatching a couple babies, I came up with a way to not only hatch multiple eggs at once, but I didn't even need to destroy the campfires either. After a while, I had an extra male and a female, but I wasn't sure if incest babies were socially acceptable around here, but Juztify assured me that incest babies are not only okay, but damn near recommended. So I had them do the dance with no pants. I spent a damn lot of days on just snatching eggs, imprinting on the babies, and managing them, cause I'ma tell you, these sons of bitches are hard to deal with. I had to constantly feed them copious amounts of meat, and other than that, I was just running around and getting materials for the 20 saddles I needed. I did a few things like father-son work day at the mountain. And I also made myself the AR. Anytime I had some downtime between breeding and grinding, I usually just looked around and explored the world a little, since I only met a couple species of dinos so far. I went to explore and kill some dinos. Oh, what the fuck was that? Is this Spider-Man dino? Jesus. And then I took a nap. I respawned and ran back to get my stuff, and meanwhile I managed to put on what is perhaps the most disgusting performance I have ever produced. I am so dog shit. My hairline crawled back to the middle of my head by the time I finished managing these devils, and I had 20 of them. They were quite low level and I didn't want to go around killing stuff with it one by one, so I just did what the only logical thing was to do here. And pulled them into the swamp and set them to wander on an aggressive with the highest aggro range. I know, I'm a genius. Yo, can somebody tell me how to get this disgusting leech off of my and it knocked me the fuck out. Great. I love the game. I left them to wander around until I was ready to take on the Broodmother. When I was doing some crafting, I saw a crafting recipe called boat, and I also found a far cheaper recipe that was basically the same thing. It was so cheap in fact that I just crafted it for shits and giggles. So if I put this in the water, it will just float there? Oh, I can't even drive it. I wonder if I can get a dino in here. You know, I could try with my Yankee, but let's limit test a little and put my T-Rex as big as up there. Yep. She still floats. I spent the next few days crafting and grinding materials to prepare for getting my first artifact. I progressed quite nice in these days, and at the end I even crafted myself strength darts, which I hope are at least twice as good as strength arrows, cause they cost damn lot more. While I was messing about, I saw this long-armed, bear-looking fella, and I wanted to test my darts, so I knocked it out. I wanted to tame it too, but I think one of my Rexes ate it when I wasn't looking. You motherfucker, you won't eat this dude. No. Stop here. I said, dude, I will take you to fucking Africa if I have to. You will not eat this fella. When I was dragging my Rex's ass back to Africa, I saw a broken down T-Rex in the bushes. This sure looks terrifying. I was really close to going for my first artifact of my life, but before that I wanted to craft a couple more stuff, and for those stuff I needed silica pearls. I will admit it, I cheated. I googled how the fuck I can find silica pearls, because so far the best way to get them that I could find was killing the little troglodytes or whatever, the little horseshoe crabs. Anyways, this bastard Google lied to me too, cause it said silica pearls would shine in the moonlight and it would be far easier to find them at night, so I went in full scuba gear and everything and there was nothing. Not a single thing. I gave up after like 3 minutes. At this point I was confident enough that I did everything in my power to get the first artifact, and Juztify told me that it was easy anyways, so I did some looking at the map and tried to locate the artifacts. Just to clarify here, Juztify was kind enough to send me the coordinates, so I was going into the caves completely dark. He didn't even let me search them up myself on the off chance of seeing something by accident. The only thing he told me before I started the challenge is that I could take a maximum of 20 dinos to the boss fight, sent me the location of the artifact cave entrances, and also told me that the Broodmother is the green obelisk, but other than that I'm a complete noob. But enough talking, let's get going. I was aiming for a cave on the lower half of the map, so I headed down the beach. I ran out of food, so I think I will settle down here for a hot minute. Great, now I can make more campfires because a random turtle woke up today and chose violence. I decided to scout the terrain a little and looked for the entrance. It took me a good while, but I finally found it. Looking at the entrance, I made the conclusion that my body's petite ass can fit in here. I couldn't handle my excitement, so before I went back, I rushed in a little, but I heard some scary noises, so I dipped. Went back for my dino, and returned to show those scary noises who's boss. Alright, so far so good. Oh, Raim, that is disgusting. I hate snakes. There are so many of them that I had to help my body out, and I no-scoped a couple of them lasagna noodles. Do I go this way? Oh no. What the hell am I looking at? Oh, I think this is it. Before I grab it, though, I need to make sure that no Indiana Jones style booby trap is gonna get me. I think we're good. Yoink! Unless some new enemies spawn to the front, getting this was way easier than I thought. I came here for the artifact and left with thousands of chitin, and honestly, I'm happier about the chitin than the artifact. Man's gotta get like thousands of cement paste, so this will help me out a lot. The walk home was rather uneventful, other than accidentally spying on a preteen pterodon, which I am ashamed of, but at the same time I went ahead and harassed a family of dillos right after. I'm a bit of a recidivist. When I got home I did some chores such as getting metal and of course took a nap. Crafted more bullets and gathered some materials. It didn't take me long to finish my important duties, and I didn't want to waste time before I whistled for my bari and went on another splunking expedition. This cave was far worse than the one before. It was really hard to find and it was cold too, so you can bet your ass I died to that more than a couple times too. What did I hear? Oh shit! You look ugly as a motherfucker, god damn, get away from me! No, get away from me! The further I pushed, the harder the enemies were. At the end of the cave, at the artifact, there is this open space with a puddle of water in the middle, and I swear to God, I looked away for 2 seconds and my body was already jumping into it headfirst. I love the bastard to death, but there isn't a single fall behind those eyes. When I noticed that he was in trouble, I jumped right after like the good daddy I am. Come here, you bastard, I'm trying to save you. Right as I reached it, I died, and when I got back into the cave, I rushed for my stuff, then grabbed the artifact. Come on, you can do it. Almost there. There you go. I looked into this cave below the artifacts, but there was nothing, and when I tried to look for my body, I couldn't find it. Perhaps he just got lost in the cave, but I have a strong suspicion that his dumbass got killed, so I just dipped. When I got to the entrance, I spotted a T-Rex, but it was higher than my current one, so I didn't waste time nor the bullets on it. I ran home, and at this point, I think I'm ready to fight a Broodmother, and it's only day 50. It's honestly a miracle I got this far this quick. I would like to add here that I already got the lava cave artifact after my first cave, but I lost the footage for it, so that's why I didn't show you. It was big sucky and you can see me bitching about it to Juztify. Hard day today and what's happening to me? It looks like I'm playing Doom 64 all of a sudden. But before I go full throttle, I had some preparations to do. I had to make more bullets since I spent almost all of them on getting the lost artifact, and it's my autistic trait that I refuse to waste time, so I filled up everything such as campfires and reforgers, and I also slapped down a bunch of new campfires so it would produce more coal for me while I'm gone. It will make it far easier for me to craft bullets. When I was done with everything, I repaired all my gear and headed for the swamp to gather up my Rexes. It took me a while, but I got them all. They didn't get too many levels from this whole shebang, but I was happy nonetheless. I spent all their points and dropped all of the unnecessary meat so it wouldn't be a problem in the future. When I got down to the base, I did a head count and everything checked out, so with nothing else to do, I headed for the green obelisk, which I just hope to God is a big green thing in the sky. The journey was long and really annoying. These sons of bitches get stuck on everything. But like, how the fuck does that even happen? I don't know why the obelisk is in the middle of this serpentine, but the dads are bastards for doing this. Literal no reason for it other than they wanted a Hungarian boy shouting horrid words at the monitor at 2:14 in the morning because his Rexes kept falling off. I tried to give it a couple at a time, but I just gave up and whistled for them all to follow me. There was some casualties of course, but I doubled back and rounded them up. I only had the last bit to go and I wasn't gonna do it one by one. I say that, but if you actually watch the clip, there are some Rexes there already. That's because I did a bunch of them one by one, but I just got bored. I think that one would have fallen off if the invisible Superman wouldn't have nudged his ass a little. I wasn't sure how things work, so I asked Justify if the dinos need to be inside the circle thing, and he said yes. I had a stray leg that stuck out, but he assured me that we're good, so I just went ahead, plumbed in the artifacts, and almost uploaded my survivor. To this day, I had no idea what that would have done, but I wasn't about to lose all my things, so I just clicked out. I nervously double-checked everything before going into the boss fight, and I didn't have water in my canteen, so I went to refill it, and while I was at the water, I got so nervous that I accidentally did the human factory reset and took a shit as I was gulping down some water. A surprise, but a welcome one. I ran back, gave the gang a pep talk. Just so y'all know, if we lose, y'all are going into my suicide note. No pressure though. I kickstarted this machine and I got teleported into the cave. Forgive me, but I do not see no Broodmother. Oh, there she is. Damn, she ugly. I just got here, but I already wanna leave. Little did I know that the only way out of here was either victory or death, and I wasn't about to bow to no six-legged mommy, so I gave it my all. Right as I teleported into the fight, I asked Juztify for a couple last-minute tips, and he just told me to survive or the whole thing is over, because apparently he thought I wanted to come in here to die or something. Couldn't be me. He also told me to kill some kind of bugs or they stack up cause they infinitely spawn. I don't know. I felt pretty confident with the fight. Here I come, baby! When my Rexes act hurt, they stacked up, so the hero I am, I hopped onto a Rex, told everyone to follow me, and I ran behind the Broodmother so she would be in the middle of a Piper Perry movie. I executed the plan perfectly and got them around her. Things were looking good until she got riled up and started to kill my Rexes. It's most likely her angry days of the month, but I shouldn't talk about hormones unless I can make that hormone. My Rexes started to die and nature's Adderall was starting to set in, so I started to clear out some of the bugs Juztify was talking about, and when I got down from my Rex, I got knocked out. Yeah, you guys go! You got it! You don't need me! Luckily I got back up quite fast, so I rejoined the fight, but my Rexes started to drop dead faster than flies. One right after the motherfucking other. The Broodmother was at about 1/3 of health by now, but soon it got down to my last Rex. He was no match for the Broodmother and her bugs, so I died with him. I told Juztify that I failed and he was damn near celebrating. I could almost hear the kazoos going off in the background. He told me that he expected that this was going to happen, and just to show his true nature, look! He told me that I could do the whole shebang with bodies, because that was my plan before a Rex fell into my lap, and when I confronted him about it, he was like, yeah, pretty much. What a bastard. I would lie if I told you that I didn't want to cry myself to sleep that night, but hey, it's only game. I spent the next few days getting gear or getting materials to craft gear. Yo, what the dog doing? You good? I decided to give Silica Pearls another shot, and this time I came prepared cause forgive me father for I have sinned, but I googled the map of Silica Pearl locations and I headed there. I finally found some pearls and I also met this chill fella. Hey buddy, you surely don't want to hurt me, do ya? I will just scooch in here if you don't mind. Nice and easy. I could finally craft electronics en masse, and my goal was to craft a chemistry bench. Good day, ladies and gentlemen, this is the president of this channel speaking, and I would like to announce that a miracle just happened. Today marks the first day that I, Joyful, did not face plant into the ground a single time when I was on the mountain. As Buzz Lightyear said, one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. After this unfathomable miracle, I actually remembered a couple crafting recipes that I wanted to revisit since I last read them. One was the Industry Forge, and to this day I have no idea what the devs were snorting when they designed this one. Look at how much metal it needs. The other one was this new Trangdar that was supposedly stronger than the one with the red thingy at the end. I don't know. I crafted these whenever I could, but there was not a single chance I could craft the Industry Forge at this point. And the third one is the chemistry bench that I can actually afford now. I'ma just plop this bad boy down, and apparently it needed electricity, so I made a generator and fucked around with the wires for a good bit before I figured out how to use them. At last I had electricity running through this humble shack of mine, and it still didn't work, so I just googled it, and as it turns out, this is one gluttonous boy, cause it both needs gas and electricity, and when I gave it gasoline to guzzle, it turned on. I made some of the new darts to see how strong they are, and I was in a lack of lab rats, so I started to knock my dino out. Oh, it just took a shit. I thought it was getting knocked out 5 darts deep. That would have been a miracle. The dino didn't wanna go to sleep, so I just gave up soon after. I had some materials to spare, and I remembered how much I hate cooking in campfires, so I decided to treat myself to an industrial grill, which was such a hardy. It cooked 12 meat at once. I almost came a little. I expanded my little campfire empire, and at this point I was back in business. It was clear to me that I needed higher level dinos or a damn miracle to be the Broodmother, and I opted for the higher level dinos instead of running it again and hoping for a ladder. I bitched enough to make Juztify help me a little, which at this point is a damn miracle in itself. He went Cedric style and told me that perhaps the island in the upper corner isn't the worst spot to find creatures of my liking. He called it the Carnival Island, or Carnivore Island. I don't know. If it was a ladder, you can be sure as shit my noob ass ain't going to know Carnivore Island, but he said something that made me itch. He said there was this majestic creature called Orgi, and that this creature's ability is to carry other smaller dinos. He said it can pick up Ankies and you can just go around collecting metal like crazy. This was enough to tickle my fancy, and I decided to check it out. This place was pure chaos. It was the prehistoric no man's land. Dinos were fighting everywhere. I loved it. This is what the main island should look like too. Anyways, I joined the fun and I somehow managed to get an Argy in a couple shots, so I started to tame it, and while I tamed it I was looking for a higher level one. And bingo, a level 84 Argy. I quickly tagged it and knocked it out. While I was waiting for it to tame, I explored a little and I ran into this T-Rex, but sadly it was low level, so it had to go. While I explored, I gathered enough material for an Argy saddle and I killed a corno to get some prime meat, which if I'm not wrong has a faster tame time, but who knows at this point. After I fed my birdie, I spotted a level 60 Rex, which was better than the ones I have right now, so I knocked it out. And while I did that, my Argy tamed, so I flew to the Rex and waited for it to tame, but a big bad corno chased us off. I tried to hurl a stick at it, because I ran out of ammo, but it wasn't much of use. So I flew home. When I got to the shore, I saw a Bronto and I decided to tame it because I wanted to see what kind of carry capacity a dino of this stature works with, and it's disappointingly low, so I never touched it again. I tried out this dino grabbing mechanic, and not only can you lift him up, but the son of a bitch can pick at him too, so I think this is my favorite bird so far. I lost my last Anki, or I don't know, but I couldn't find it, so I tamed a new one. I left it up there to tame and I went back to my base to craft an ungodly amount of gunpowder, and I also crafted an Anki saddle, and when I returned it tamed just in time, and I must say I never had this much fun getting metal.
Stop running
I had
from
so
me,
much
you
metal that I
bastard!
made a couple more reforgers and all the gunpowder finished crafting, so I made a bunch of both regular and tranq bullets. I wasted no time and headed out to find myself a Rex, and it proved itself a difficult task to simply find one, let alone a high level one as well. I tried to keep north because I assumed that based on spawn points I had the best chance here, and after getting jebaited by these bastards I finally found a Rex. It was a 84 female, the highest I've seen so far. It was rustling around this pond and it made it really difficult to tame, but I managed, and in the end the body joined the party as well, but luckily it got stuck, otherwise I would have died, but this way I even managed to tame a body as well. I saw Stego nearby and I killed it for some prime meat, and I got some fish for my body as well. Here's something mind-blowing happened to me. You see, I was waiting for the Rex to tame and I started asking questions about breeding and how it works, and he slipped up a little. He told me that untamed dinos get a 50% level boost, and he said this: "You can hurt it while it's down and ruin it though." Brother, I've been beating the living shit out of them with a stick to maintain unconsciousness. What do you mean you can hurt them and ruin it though? And after he did this, he had the gall to say, "Yeah, I know." Jesus said that if one as much as thinks of a sin, he is already guilty of said crime, and so forgive me, Father, for I have sinned, and my crime is murder of the first degree, for I have thought about strangling this bastard for a long time, but this does it. Sadly, the closest I could come to killing him is strangling my internet cable, so I just told him that he's a bastard man. For the third time in this playthrough, for record. And I also had to admit that I was kinda proud of myself about that too, you know? I just casually crafted a stick and beaten the shit out of him. No durability wasted, no arrow wasted, less damage too. But the story doesn't end here. Nuh-uh. While I was AFKing in the game, at the last like 3 minutes of taming, a fucking raptor attacked me and he damaged my T-Rex as well. Now I don't know if there is no god or there is a god and he hates me, but I do know that I was an angry boy when this happened. It turned out to be 100 and level 6 regardless, which was still really good. I was happy about it. On my way home I saw a couple other Rexes, but they were all low level, so I didn't waste time. When I got home I realized that I only had female Rexes, so the Zags wasn't possible yet, and I needed to get a male before the great hanky panky. I resupplied and returned to Carno Island, where I finally found a man. Oh, it's a level 12 and not 120. After looking for a bit more, I found a level 103 female Rex. It was female, so suboptimal, but still the best by far. Knocking it out was a challenge in itself, and I don't know how I would have managed to do it if I didn't have my Argy with me. I ate lunch while I waited for it to tame, and it might have been the eye roll chewing that confused me, but I didn't notice an alpha raptor gulping down my Argy. It didn't attack me though, so I just looked the other way and pretended like it didn't hurt to listen to my favorite bird being eaten. I just waited for my Rex to tame in silence, and as soon as it tamed, a level 60 Rex attacked it because, God forbid, I have 2 minutes of peace on this godforsaken island. God damn, this man is more aggressive than an alcoholic stepfather. Chill out. Luckily mine was way higher level and I gave her a hand with my trusty shotgun. After the assassination attempt on my beloved T-Rex, I decided that it's just best to go home and come back before anything worse happens. As soon as I set foot on land, a Rex charged at me. Normally I wouldn't mind Rexes throwing themselves at me, but I didn't even have the time to check its gender or levels, so I just blindly started to tame it and hope for the best. Every good gambling addict knows that there is only losers and quitters, and my luck was ought to change at this point, but no, not a chance. God would rather have it that my rifle breaks before the last like 10 shots. I wasn't gonna bow to God's will and I crafted my trusty beating stick cause I did manage to get it to flee and I gave it a couple good whacks but to no avail. I was forced to go home, repair my stuff and come back to it. I once again murdered for some prime meat to possibly make it faster to tame and I paid way better attention to this boy and while defending it I killed a level 104 Argy. And the best part is that I didn't even notice. I just waltzed over to kill the next Argy without crying in the corner after killing one of the best dinos I could have tamed. Once it tamed, I got it home and started the breeding process. Since I had all the gear I wanted, I didn't do anything through these days other than managing the brethren. At one point I built a little egg castle though, which was fun. I must admit, one of the many challenges about raising Rexes for children is that they are gluttonous bastards. I aimed for 1 row of meat for every dino, times 20, that's 120 stacks of meat. When I had 20 of them plus a breeding pair in case I managed to fill it a second time, I crafted saddles for them and since I have wide OCD, I lined them up. I didn't send them to the swamps this time because I was confident they would be good enough to take on the Broodmother, and also the swamp didn't do too much. Their passive experience gain over time got me the same level because at one point killing a few dinos every like 10 minutes doesn't matter experience wise I guess. The only thing left for now is to get all the artifacts which I will need a body for, but I somehow lost mine when I went with it to the carnivore island so I had to get a new one. I have a strong hunch that the bodies only spawn near water, so I think looking around the swamp is my best bet. I found the body, but I got more than I bargained for, so I had to dip because the fight wasn't winnable. I got the leech off of me and ran back into the swamp to look for another one. I ran into one at the same spot and I quickly tamed it after politely declining being dinner for a Sarko. Before I went to get the artifacts, I wanted to rearrange my dinos because it fucked with my head, and when I got on one of them, this happened. I think I must have left mating on an X hatch, but for me they were cooled when it wasn't near like at least 4 campfires. Nonetheless, it made the situation worse cause not only did they lose health, but they bunched up so I had to line them up again. Oh, for fuck's sake, I just finished lining you guys up. I just left them in their own mess and let them bunch up like animals and went for the caves. Since I knew where they were and what to expect, it was far easier a second time. I still had to wait for my Rexes to heal up before I tried the Broodmother again, so I had to AFK for more than 2 hours. The trip to Mother Broody was still disgusting and long, but I got there and went to kick mommy's ass. I learned a lot from my last fight and I made sure not to do the same mistakes. And my electricity cut out. If you ever happen to go on a holiday and your airplane crashes in a shithole called Hungary and you are put on life support, just as a word of caution, all the way from 11 AM to about 2 PM, only deep breaths, brother, because it will strike when you ain't expecting it, you understand me? The infrastructure is weaker than our currency, which is saying a lot, and it cuts out for no reason at all. There isn't a consistent factor to it either. If it's raining, that's the reason. If there is wind, then that's the reason. If there isn't wind, then that's the reason. If there isn't a reason, then that's the reason. Anyway, I somehow ended up in an infrastructure rant, so let's snap back to reality. Oops, there goes gravity. I whistled them to attack this target, and whenever there were bugs building up, I whistled them to neutral. And she was done. She was a dead woman walking. Unless your kind YouTuber wants to get off his Rex to capture a far superior shot, but the only problem was that the bugs were far superior too, and I died right there and then. I would lie if I told you that I didn't want to black flip out of my window. Well, I ain't gonna bore you with breeding another 20 Rexes, but basically what I went for is that I got 2 Rexes to the whatever fuck this is and bred them here so I don't have to suffer through getting them here again. I must confess though I'm a sinner because I stopped the day and night cycle, or well, slowed it to a crawl. I mention this because it will stay 89 days until the end, but I will count the days based on the time left from this playthrough and give you a rough estimate. People say 3rd time's a charm, so let's hope for the best. Here is the plan. I will get in, whistle for my Rexes to attack the Broodmother. I will not offer my booty for a late night stack to these bugs, and I will kill the bastard once and for all. Interestingly enough, if I don't do anything stupid and I have dinos stronger than a stick bug, it's easy to kill Broody. And there you have it. Mother Broody defeated as a complete noob in 100 days or less. A kind of greatness that I will be telling to my grandkids if I live to tell the tale, but for now I was at a point where I had too much time to quit but too little to go for anything meaningful, so I asked Juztify what he thinks I should do and we agreed that I would go for the monkey. Since I had all the dinos that I would use for the boss fight, all I had to do was get the artifacts and kick some monkey ass. I lost my body in the last 3 caves, so I got myself a new one, and Juztify once again was kind enough to send me the coordinates of the artifacts and even gave me a little warning that one of the caves is underwater. How nice of him. These caves weren't harder than the Broodmother caves in my opinion. Sure, I died more, but I think it was because I didn't know the caves and I was in a hurry, so I rushed in recklessly, grabbed the artifact and dipped. The underwater cave was a bigger problem, but I had a really good circle, so I just rushed in, got it and got out. Juztify also told me that it's the blue obelisk that I'm aiming for this time, so right after I got the artifact, I started my disgusting and horrible, cold and fucking stupid bitch of a journey. I died way more times than I care to admit, and it wasn't enough that I had to beg myself every couple of minutes because I died, but these dinos are dumber than a bag of rocks and got stuck on everything. I watched back and it took me more than 1.5 hours to get from my base to the obelisk. Hella stupid if you ask me. Anyways, I got the obelisk, put in the artifact, made sure not to upload my survivor this time and went for the boss. To spare my sanity, Juztify told me not to fall off, but other than that I should be good if I was able to beat the Broodmother, so I went in. I noticed that the map was on the thinner side, so I thought I would just aggro the boss and pull it. I somehow didn't die in the process, and when I fistfight the monkey, I just died. Sitting on my Rex, no warning, nothing. And here is exactly what I did. Yeah, I ain't gonna play no more. This game can suck my dick. See ya.